Welcome to Copilot Connection.
We're here to share with you all the news, insights, and capabilities of the Microsoft Copilot ecosystem across the entire Microsoft stack. I'm Zoe Wilson, and I'm an executive at Avanade in our modern work business. I'm also an MVP and a regional director.
And I'm Kevin McDonald. I'm an MVP, I'm a Viva Explorer, and an architect at Avanade as well. We'll be releasing releasing episodes as podcasts and on YouTube, and we'll have insights from experts across the community and Microsoft on all the different areas of Copilot, the impact they can make to you and your organization, and what you need to do to prepare for them or to start implementing them now, and even how you can extend them and build your own.
So this week, we're going to be reviewing some of the news from Ignite, which was, from a Copilot perspective, just action-packed. And we'll be sharing some interviews that I recorded live in Seattle as well. But before we cover the news, Kevin, and some of my thoughts from Ignite, I see you started a challenge while I was away.
Yeah, I couldn't resist while you were there. I wanted to get people thinking, and I forgot to credit on the tweet, and I keep forgetting this. I should credit this to Paul Bullock because we were having a chat about how much news there was, and Copilot should be able to be there to help us to do it. And I was like, we should set that as a challenge to people. So the challenge is to take all that news that's come out at Ignite and find a way to get Copilot, generative AI, Azure Open AI, to give people a way to query that and find out what happened. So could be taking the videos, could be taking book of news, all the blog posts, social media, and just find a way to surface that. I don't want to get too specific because I want to see what other people come up with on there. But we're putting that challenge, and Zoe, we're also putting some sponsorship together, aren't we? And there's going to be a prize for people.
Yeah, so we know how much the community loves Lego. What we really want to do is to share with us your approach, how you've tackled this, how you've built a custom Copilot solution to help us be able to consume and interact with all of the knowledge that came out of Ignite. And for the best one, we're going to pick the best one. We're going to give you a Lego prize. And Kevin, how do we want people to share with us what they've been doing in this challenge?
So I think if people can tweet about it, preferably sort of put a blog together, put a video together, even if you've got the credentials to put it up in GitHub, we love people to be able to share so that others can learn from it as well. We don't just want something that we can buy afterwards. We want something that other people can learn from and create. So that's what we'll do. So share it out, tag us. I did have the hashtag which I wrote down somewhere and I've lost. I think it is Custom Copilot Connection Challenge. I might get a shorter one thinking about that as well. So we'll get a hashtag to make that easier. One thing I would say is just be really careful of your Azure credits. If you're thinking about doing a whole load, just test it on a small thing. Don't just, maybe leave transcription on for a whole load of content overnight and wake up in the morning and suddenly find that your blog's gone down because you've used up all your Azure credits. That would be really, really stupid thing to do. And you'd never catch me doing that, I'm sure.
So the voice of experience speaking there, I think, Kevin.
No. I'm a friend, honest.
So really good advice. We want you all to build custom Copilots for our challenge. There's Lego for the winner, but just be really careful about your Azure credits.
Yes.
Brilliant. So there's lots and lots of news to get through, and we've got some great interviews from some of the people that I spoke to last week as well. So shall we just dive straight into the news?
Yeah, let's go for it.
And while you're bringing that up, I think we're starting with the latest work trend index from the Book of News. Microsoft for the last few years have been publishing these work trend index reports, which give us really good insight based on the research that Microsoft have done. And this is a special report that was published last week, which is all about Copilot. What else is it going to be about? This is all about the benefits of people that people are reporting who are using Copilot for Microsoft 365. I believe someone shared a really interesting stat with us, Kevin.
Yeah, it's funny. I was about to say it's this one, but no, 77% seems to be a familiar number around Copilot. So it wasn't this that 77% said they didn't want to give it up. It was one that Moraine shared from Jared Spatero's talk, that basically 77% would be happy to not have free lunch at work if they could have Copilot instead. And I love that kind of question. Is it's not just do you want it, it's what do you prefer? And I know people like Google and other organizations do offer that idea of free lunches to say that people are happy to have that way of making them more efficient over getting that free food on there. I think it's quite impressive. Whether it's they've had some of the free lunch and it's a bit rubbish.
Yeah. So
uh,
I really like this view of it as well. So it's not just about a free lunch, but they actually asked people about the frequency of the free lunch as well.
mm,
So if it's a choice between having Copilot for Microsoft 365 or having a monthly lunch, 88% said that they would prefer to have Copilot. It's only when you get to the point of it being a weekly free lunch that number of people who are willing to give it up has actually changed. So again, it's just a really interesting dynamic, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. And you think for organizations, what's that? A weekly free lunch? That's 4 free lunches a month. What would a lunch cost? Six,
Well,
£7 maybe. So it actually,
yeah,
you know,
it actually has the numbers in the
well, that's got
in the
numbers for the
reports. Yeah, so if you scroll down a little bit, it
yeah.
says
So
if you're
weekly free lunch would actually be worth more to people based on those assumptions. So yeah, even more interesting.
yeah, and there's some other really interesting stats in here as well. So 85% of people are saying it helps them get to a good first draft faster. 75% of people are saying it saves them time by finding whatever I need in my files.
Mm,
67% are saying Copilot is saving them time so they can focus on more important work. 72% say it's helping them generate ideas. So really positive benefits and feedback across the board. And actually at work, we've
and
been
I think
running
we
our
can
own.
vouch. Yeah, I would say we
Yeah.
can vouch for this, can't we?
Yeah, so we've also been running our own internal research program, and we've had some of our results have been slightly different, but
Mm,
overall, we're generally seeing people that we're working with who are using Copilot too.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So no, I thought it was a nice number to kick off the Ignite stuff. So Zoe, what was it that jumped out from you being there? I mean, obviously you digested all of this book of news from when you were there. You were sat there reading it for hours, not just chatting to people and having to do work and engagements as well.
Yeah, so let's think about what I did while I was at Ignite. So I was an SME in a panel discussion. I spent a good few hours across 2 days on the experts stand, not talking about Copilot, actually talking about Viva, but every conversation these days becomes a Copilot conversation. I was doing lots of networking, and
So
what that meant
just
is
just to clarify there, Zoe, is that every conversation or every conversation with you? Because I hear you've been boring your friends with it as well. Is that right?
so that's actually a really funny story. So I've got my group of best friends. Like my other half, he works in tech, but the rest of them don't really have technical roles. And it was like a meeting of the worlds yesterday when one of our best friends messaged in our group chat to say, Zoe, I've been using that Copilot in SharePoint. And I asked her a few questions.
Well, like,
What
how
I'm
have you got early access? Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I knew it wouldn't be Copilot in SharePoint, but basically what she was doing was using Bing Chat Enterprise, which has also been renamed, but we'll call it that just for ease. She was using that as the sidebar on SharePoint pages to help her rewrite and edit and update the content on it, which I just thought was
Fantastic.
incredible because she's not in a technical role. She only recently found out what SharePoint was. She doesn't understand what I do at all. And I know you said that the Copilot is the thing that's actually, more people outside of our tech bubble are talking to us about this than anything
Yeah.
else we do.
Absolutely. I mean, We didn't plan on chatting about this bit, so I won't try and deviate too much. But I think all the OpenAI news that's been on there, all these conversations of things that are bread and butter to us, things we're talking about day in, is definitely starting to seep out into the other side of life. So yeah, it's fascinating. Anyway, back to Ignite. Sorry.
Yeah, well, if we to just get into the book of news, because there's let's whistle through some of the highlights from the book of news, because I was looking at this. It should have actually been called the book of Copilot news, to be perfectly honest, because nearly everything in here, not all, but nearly everything is Copilot related.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the things that aren't, such as the Azure AI services, you could say they're custom co-pilots. And I love the announcements here around the prompt flow, this easier way of people building out their prompts into the life cycle with LLMs. And we're not talking the kind of end user prompts. This is where you're using prompts as part of your applications, which is a core part. And I think for many people who've used Copilot, aka Copilot for Bing, aka Bing Chat, whatever it's called today, and we'll get to that later. There's that natural way of building your prompts, and there's lots you can learn from that. But it's you can use some of that in your applications as well. And I know with Teams AI, I've built that in. So having that prompt flow to be able to test those out and build them up effectively is really powerful. The model catalog and the model as a service, I think, is really interesting. I know Satya covered that in the keynote, but being able to bring in other models, not just the kind of standard LLMs. I know there's the new and I've suddenly forgotten what they're called, the smaller, not large language models. I don't think they're called small ones, but the easier ways to bring those through. All these different options, whether it's stable diffusing in the image ones, being able to have a catalog and making those available within Azure is really big from that. So really interesting to see those. And if you don't know about these, jumping down the book of news a bit, you can see there's AI, video AI search. So lots of different ones there. I wonder if I can jump to the right section. That would have been a clever things to do. And we touched on this, I think, in previous shows, but the new applied skills, I can't remember if it's last episode or one before, but there's even more of those applied skills credentials. So that ability to learn, to get into this AI world and develop Gen AI with Azure Open AI service, the intelligent document processing solution, which I must give a go. I haven't tried that out yet on there. Things like AI language, AI vision. There's now these nice applied skills that you can get certified in that as well, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it just for those people who haven't seen the keynote from Ignite, I would highly recommend that you go watch it, because you can see from the updates that Kevin's just talked through, this AI thread is a common theme through everything. And when I was watching the keynote, one of the things that I really thought was that it was completely, the way that Satya did it, the way that they curated the keynote and told the story was just masterful. Because they started with the physical, they started with the data centers, the chips, the networking, all of that really important hardware and infrastructure, and then they went up through the stack.
Just very quickly, in a really interesting way, and it was fascinating the number of kind of non-infrastructure people and non-pure techie people who noted how exciting that sounded. I really love that, the way they got that across as well.
It just, and to me, it showed the dominance from the bottom to the top, left to the right of the stack. That they will be controlling everything from the physical all the way up through to the virtual and the artificial and the app layer. And it was just, I would highly recommend you watch it if you haven't already.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think it also shows the impact that AI is having on these different things. They're having, there was the fiber that now they're sending light direct instead of bouncing it off. It's going straight through air, so it's even better networks. It's improving the networks to make that AI more effective. These custom chips that Microsoft are building to kind of help with the learning models being created. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, and a really exciting time to work with Microsoft technology as well.
Absolutely, but it wasn't all AI, was it? They did sneak a bit of news of things like SharePoint Premium.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me,
Oh, oh wait,
when
sorry, AI powered. No, that was AI as well.
yeah, but it's not generative AI, is it?
True, true.
I've seen this with some people who are assuming that things like syntax, which is part of what has become SharePoint Premium and Viva Topics, they're classing them as generative AI projects, and they're not. They're machine learning or machine teaching, and knowledge mining and things like that. So it's still AI. It's essentially building on all of the good work with syntax. And what SharePoint Premium will do is really help with that kind of structure, security, and governance, which is really important to make sure that Copilot has better information to leverage. Because as we all know with AI, if you put garbage in, you'll get garbage out. So being able to use AI powered technology to help you manage and curate large volumes of data, and to drive those business processes, and to help pull out of the value inside them and stuff. I think this is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to be slightly cynical, because I think that there's been that promise for years that you can just click a button and things will govern it for you. You don't need to touch it. There's still going to need to be that human element to a lot of these. So I maybe not cynical, but tapering expectations a little bit. We're still not going to be in that place where you can just throw all your stuff in that your garbage in,
No,
garbage out.
God.
It's not
No.
going to do that for you yet, sadly. But maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But when we're talking about enterprises with big data, having tools like this,
Yeah.
being able things like SharePoint Advanced Management, from a Copilot perspective, one of those big concerns is around permissions and overshared content, and things like SAM will actually help make it easier for IT admins to manage that.
Absolutely, which I think is so important. There's lots of things about Clipchamp and Designer and Loop going GA, which is fantastic. What I love, and you mentioned the keynote there, and I think I sadly had to run off to Cubs, so I was kind of watching this on the go, but suddenly I heard the word frontline worker, and my radar went up, because it's something I work on quite a bit. And if you haven't seen the full sessions from Satya, or you maybe missed some of it, go to that end bit, because the frontline worker story I thought was fantastic. So bringing that Copilot for frontline workers, I'm going to say to a degree, it's not Copilot for Microsoft 365 for frontline workers, before anyone gets excited that there's a cheaper license that can be used. It's really bringing that Bing Chat Enterprise to the frontline worker license, isn't it? Which is a good start, definitely.
Yeah, Microsoft Copilot, formerly known as Bing Chat Enterprise.
Yeah.
And also adding a huge degree of complexity to people actually being able to articulate which Copilot they're talking about.
Yes. I can see there being a job in the future of just articulating which Copilot is which as a full-time role, to be honest.
Yeah, and the update here. So in this section 4.1.4, this is just talking about some of the M365 updates for frontline worker. But later in the book of news, there's a whole section around all of the other stuff with Copilot for Dynamics 365 Field Service and Copilot for Dynamics Guides. And that's really bringing in kind of that, the combination of these things is kind of bringing in that you've got that Copilot Bing experience through Entra, all of the field service Copilot stuff, and then through to the augmented and mixed reality stuff, which is the stuff that really excited me in that video, where people had like headsets and they were saying, "Hey, Copilot," and just
that was quite a moment, wasn't it? Sorry, I don't want to trigger off anyone's devices. Not Siri, not Cortana, not anything like that. It was
Copilot.
Hey, Copilot.
And then things like the Shifts plugin for Copilot for M365 as well. So frontline workers probably won't have an M365 Copilot license, but frontline managers might do. And actually being able to interact with that frontline data will be really powerful.
Yeah, so really, really interesting, and I think good that I think we've talked on the show before about the digital divide, and the divide that having Copilot and not having Copilot can bring, to at least start that motion of bringing Copilot to more people. I think is really strong. and shows that that is the direction that we'll be going as well.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, when you think about the power of Copilot, aka Bing Chat Enterprise, the fact that my friend was telling me she was using it to update SharePoint and stuff, was, you know, that just proves that for a lot of people, a lot of use cases, that will be enough.
Yeah. And it's right there. I'm not going to click on it because I can't remember the history that's on there. But it's got that chat. It's there in Edge, ready for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
And she said it's making her sound a lot smarter than she is, which I loved.
Don't suck me
Okay.
into getting in trouble there. What we hear just a little bit further down, I think there was the obviously lots of news around Copilot for M365. There's new updates, but the dashboard I thought was quite an interesting announcement.
Yeah, so this is really integrating with Microsoft Viva, and we're both Viva explorers. So we've spent the last couple of years working with Viva, both in a work context and speaking about it at events, really driving that awareness. For me, I love the fact that they're building capabilities into Viva that can really help drive and power that adoption of Microsoft Copilot as well.
It's that adoption and that understanding, that, if you pardon the pun, that insight that's coming from it, that is key to this. And you know, we've been speaking a lot about what is the value and how do you understand the value. You can't understand that unless you can see how it is being used, what the reality of it is. And for this dashboard and that integration into Viva, to see the change it's making to the ways of working, I think is key.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. For those of you who are watching on the screen, you'll notice that Kevin's jumped down to, I think, section 5.8 in the book of news, which is the Copilot for M365 updates. All of section 5 is Microsoft Copilot. So in the rest of the book of news, there are lots of updates interwoven in the other sections, but actually all of section 5 in the book of news is about Copilot, which again just demonstrates how much this dominated. And I don't think we'll have time to go through all of these, because I do really want to make sure that we can include the interviews as well. But Kevin, are there any particular ones that you want to call out as really powerful?
I think for those looking at the screen, I'm just showing the table of content. It's that breadth of Copilot. It's looking at Azure data, the Azure management and operations. So bringing Copilot into how you look after Azure. We've got that Bing we've talked about. There's Copilot for sales and Copilot for service, that service that we talked about with Trisha last time, even more within Dynamics on there. Viva Copilot. Just spend a whole episode talking about that.
Yeah, just before you move on, so it was really interesting there. If you just scroll back up on the screen, and you'll see we've got, so section 5.4, Copilot for sales and Copilot for service. And then we've got so under the Dynamics 365 section, there's also Copilot for Dynamics 365 sales as well. So that's so Copilot in Dynamics 365 sales. And you'll notice there's like a slight nuance here with some of the naming convention. So some of the Copilot products are Copilot for, and some of them are Copilot in. And I haven't quite figured out the pattern for this yet. I've not quite figured out the pattern for it, but I do think there's a slight nuance in terms of how they're using it. Is it Copilot in Microsoft 365 or Copilot for Microsoft 365?
So it is for, because what was forming a bit in my head is that where it's embedded into a product and it's not a kind of separate entity in itself, then it's for. So I think it's Copilot for security.
No, I think it's the other way around. I think so. You've got Copilot in Viva, which is very
where
specific.
It's included in the Viva suites. It's specific to that. Whereas if it's a more generic, it's for sales. And if we think sales, Copilot for sales has come from Viva Sales. That could be Dynamics. It could be come on, brain, Salesforce. It could be other things. I can't remember what's been announced yet, so I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot there. But it could be other things on there. It's more generic versus, as you say, that in Dynamics 365 sales is that capability. I
Yeah.
imagine, I'm hoping this will help the licensing discussion a bit, but I might be overexcited when I say that.
Yeah, so I'd hate to predict what will happen from a licensing perspective, but when I was thinking about this before we started recording, I was thinking, so is it Copilot in Microsoft 365 or Copilot for Microsoft 365?
It is for,
Yeah,
which I think
so
makes sense because it wraps
well,
around a lot of the different bits, doesn't it?
yeah, but so where I was going in my head was that if it's for a product, it reasons over all of your data in that product. Whereas if it's in a product, it is Copilot embedded in that product to help you use that product.
Yeah. So interestingly, it is Copilot for Microsoft 365, but they talk about Copilot in Microsoft Teams,
Yeah,
Copilot in Microsoft Outlook.
yeah. So I
So
think
yeah,
I think I
interesting.
think I think that might be it. The thing that breaks all of that is security, because security
Well,
Copilot
it's
is
just
just
security Copilot,
security
isn't it?
Copilot.
and GitHub as well.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Zoe? Are you saying there's going to be a rename coming soon?
So I'll tell
Breaking
you what's
news.
I'll tell you what's really funny. So I've seen a few people who've joked over the last few months about Copilot being like Defender, in the sense that we're getting a Copilot for everything, and like we got
Yeah.
a Defender for everything. And when I was looking through the book of news, I did have to laugh when I saw that we've got a Copilot for Defender.
Yeah. Copilot for Defender in Viva. That's what we need. That's your 3 buzzwords right there.
Yeah, security Copilot in Defender for Cloud.
Oh, so you got a double whammy there. Wow, we need to get a slide together with all these names. And do you know what we could do? We could put all these names in a OneNote and then use Copilot in OneNote to group them together.
Fantastic. So there's one really important announcement, which I'm super excited about, that I did want to talk about, and that is Copilot Studio. You could probably have guessed that's where I was going. Yeah. So Copilot
why are you
Studio.
so excited? And what is it for anyone who hasn't seen it?
So I'm going to take the easy way out of explaining what it is by saying it's basically Power Virtual Agents rebranded as Microsoft Copilot Studio with some extra capabilities. But it's already available in preview to be able to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot, or Copilot for Microsoft 365, as we're now calling it. And that's why I'm excited about it. If I look at Copilot, I can see lots of broad horizontal value, and the value that we each get will be different because we all work in different ways. But as we start to actually use M365 Copilot as that front door for business process automation and process optimization, it's going to be super, super powerful. So I am incredibly excited about the possibilities. And the fact that this is included in the Copilot for M365 license, I think is just fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. If I'm honest, I'm looking forward to the discussion. It's going to come back to that high code, low code. That I know we've got Donna on in a minute. We'll talk about that. It's going to come back to that discussion. I'm looking forward to that taking place as well. When would you use Copilot Studio versus when would you use Azure OpenAI, things like Teams AI? How do you make that decision? And I am not going to answer that right now because I don't feel in a position to yet, but I think that is going to be a key conversation that people are having with this. And what I like, exactly what you said there, it's available now. People can go and try it, give it a go and get hands on with it. If you've used Power Virtual Agents, you know what's there. I would say, and you might be able to correct me, but I haven't seen much around the licensing. I know we had the PVA licensing that was part of the Power Platform Guide. I don't think there's been much messaging around that. I have heard a couple of things, but as I haven't found it publicly, I am not stupid enough to say much about that, but I'd say keep an eye out for it as well. And if anyone happens to be at ESPC next week, there's lots of Microsoft people you can go and ask there about it. See if they'll give anything away. But
So in the book of news, it does actually say it says Copilot Studio is available in the Copilot for Microsoft 365 license, but it doesn't talk about things like premium connectors and number of runs and things like that. So it's that next level of detail that I'm really keen to hear. The only session apart from the keynotes that I actually saw at Ignite last week in person was Dona Sarkar's that she did with Dan, which was all around extending Copilot and like when to adopt, when to extend, when to build. That is now available on demand, so we'll put the link in the show notes. But for anybody who's interested in understanding how this extensibility ecosystem works, it's not going to give you all of the answers to the questions you just asked, Kevin, but it's a really good starting point for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of Donna, I believe you had a nice chat with her, Zoe. Is this a good segue into maybe playing that interview and then having a bit of a chat around it afterwards?
Yep, sounds like a plan to me.
Fantastic. Let's bring that up.
Zoe Wilson, I'm coming to you from Ignite, and I'm joined by the one and only Dona Sarkar.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Zoe, for inviting me to do this.
Brilliant. So Donna, what does Copilot mean to you?
What does Copilot mean to me? Okay, so Copilot to me is a very, very useful tool that does the things that I don't really want to do. For me, that is it. You know, everyone's like, no autopilot, only Copilot, assistant, all this. But the point of an assistant or an agent is someone who does the things you don't want to do. Not because you can't, but because you've done it 8 million times and you don't really need to do it again.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And it one of the best things for me is that it means you can focus on the things that you do want to do.
Yes. Or the things that are new for you, or the things where you're learning and growing. But humans, when we do work where we're not learning and growing, we slowly die.
Yes.
Right? We slowly die. It's like the definition of burnout, where you're doing work that is thankless, you're not growing, you're not learning, and it seems endless.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that people burn out a lot, but I do think Copilot could be the antidote to burnout.
Yeah, and that brings us on really nicely to the next question. What do you think is going to be the biggest impact or transformation for people?
I think people are going to suddenly have a lot more time. And that's going to be interesting because we as humans don't actually know what to do with time. We sometimes say, oh, when I have more time, I'm going to do everything on my backlog. Are you? Should you? Does it really need to be done? So I actually believe that with more time, we're going to take on bigger problems in society. So that is one of the reasons I'm such a fan of AI, because if so much of our menial manual tasks, like this video you have to edit, the transcription you have to do, rather than having to spend now 4 hours editing this, you have a Copilot do it and we just have this chat, then we can spend those 4 hours working on something else, right? That actually maybe moves society and humanity forward.
Yeah.
So that's the vision. I think we're going to make big leaps and bounds in the rest of society.
Yeah.
Because AI and Copilot's going to take over some of the more repetitive manual sorts of things.
Yeah, and for the last couple of years, you've worked in the accessibility team at Microsoft, haven't you? One of the things that I'm really passionate about is the impact that this will have from an accessibility perspective.
Yes, and that is a big topic because I am a neurodivergent, I'm dyslexic, and AI has honestly changed the way I work in terms of writing documents and reading documents. And the session I did today, I showed how I don't read documents anymore. A Copilot reads the document and summarizes into 5 actionable bullets for me. And when I am able to do that, and when I'm also able to build a Copilot with my own writing and my own writing style, and it generates emails for me that sound like me, PowerPoints that sound like me, it's pretty cool. I look really productive without having to be more productive.
Yeah.
Right? So just from a neurodivergent point of view, it's amazing. But I work with a lot of people who are blind, low vision, limited mobility. And just basic things are so much easier. Like not having to write this from scratch, not having to read this whole thing, not having to, futz around with like a keyboard when you could do so much of this from voice. So my colleagues who do work in accessibility with me, they've said that this is honestly one of the biggest game changers in terms of assistive technology. So AI is truly one of the greatest assistive technology tools of our time.
Yeah, completely. So the last 3 days we've had tons and tons of announcements. What was the thing that you were most excited about that's been shared publicly this week?
What I really love is that there's both high code and low code ways to do everything. And that to me is really important, that democratization of technology, right? Because I am a computer scientist. I studied actual, hardcore computer science. My first language was binary, of all the things. And as a C++ dev, when I don't have to write C++, life is real good. Because every line of code I don't have to write, I don't need to debug and maintain. So what I love about the announcements this week are, oh, look, there's high code and low code way to extend copilots. Oh, look, there's high code and low code ways to build your own copilot. So it doesn't matter what tech stack you choose, as long as you have your data in order, by the way, that you can't get out of, unfortunately. Once you have your data in order and your data is trusted and validated and your data, then you can use whatever tech stack you want to solve these problems. For me, that was just this mind-boggling, amazing moment where we're like, the democratization of tech that we've been talking about for 20 years
is here.
It's here.
Yeah.
Like it's happening right now in real time.
One final question. Like, if you think any platform, any tech stack, any part of your life, what is the one thing that you want Copilot to be able to do for you?
Okay, so what I really want Copilot to do is clean my room, unpack my suitcases. I want it to do all my travel stuff. I want my flights booked, my hotel booked with my preferences. I want some sort of a robot to pack my stuff and to take it there and put it in the room. I'm not asking for the world at this point. But you know what? A year ago, if I told you you never need to attend a meeting again and you can get a meeting recap delivered to your inbox, you'd be like, Donna, that is just not true. And now it's actually possible. So, I think we just have to put aside what we think is impossible and start living in this world of Copilot. Like, how can we build it with Copilot in mind?
Brilliant. All right. Thanks very much, Donna. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, everyone. Tune in next week because their episodes are off the charts good.
Oh my goodness, where do we start with that? How cool is Donna?
Definitely a major girl fan of Donna, and it was such a pleasure to spend so much time with her in Ignite last week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can start with the fun bits. I love the idea of Copilot just being able to sort out my travel and clean my room and stuff like that. I'm looking down at my office thinking, thank goodness someone can see down there. But I think going back to one of the key things she talked about, having Copilot and AI save us time so we can take on the bigger problems in society. I just love that idea. There's an amazing book by Rutger Bregman, and that's one of the things he talked about. It's not Humankind, it's his other one, Utopia for Realists, and he's saying that there is a lot of that view that you can get to, whereas if we can save time and make more happen, then we can do better things. We can have 4-day weeks, 3-day weeks and things on there. And I'm sure probably you particularly, Zoe, are thinking, Copilot doesn't necessarily make that happen right now, but the reality is we're starting to be able to do those things, and it does feel like we're getting towards that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I think Copilot is personally responsible for me having the opposite of a 4-day week at the moment.
Absolutely.
But it just that view. I mean, it's really inspirational, isn't it? Thinking about, okay, so what do we actually do with this freed up time? And people talk about being able to spend it on higher value things. If those higher value things allow us to actually make a positive difference in society as a whole, if it helps us solve some of those really hard challenges that we just don't have the mental bandwidth, or even like the the networking, the actually being able to apply AI to some of these problems. And it's incredibly exciting.
It's huge, and I think some of the biggest problems, and also some of the easier ones. So I loved what she was talking about. The democratization of tech and opening it up to more people, being able to use AI to help people do more as well. And in fact, this morning I've been trying to use Copilot more, and I actually really did accelerate some slides I had to do for a client meeting coming up. I was like, no, I'm going to actively push myself to just do the in Copilot, not fall back to old habits, and it's really helped on there. But it did come up with some content that wasn't very accessible. It got flagged up by the accessibility. So I kind of tweeted this. Donna's noticed it and is already hassling the team. So I think this is where we'll see the change. I think two things of that. One, fantastic, see the pace of change we'll start to see happening, and how awesome is Donna about picking up these things and driving these things to happen as well.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And so the accessibility bit is super interesting. And as a person who's neurodivergent, the fact that Donna can already talk to how this has helped her, I think is great. Have we to try the next video?
Yes. So talking of amazing women in the tech community, we have Anna. Yeah, do you know, I'm going to butcher her surname. So Anna, I apologize in advance, but Anna Ines Urrutia. So I will let her show you how to pronounce her name properly now.
Zoe Wilson, and I'm here with Anna.
Hi everyone, it's Anna Ines Urrutia Sousa, but Anna is fine.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining us, Anna. It's been a great week at Ignite this week. So first question, what does Copilot mean to you?
So for me, Copilot is the new way of working, but also a very interesting way of reducing the time we spend in things that are useless. That's what I'm really looking forward to in the next couple of months. So yeah.
Yeah, and you had a demo yesterday, didn't you, with a particular part of Copilot.
Yeah.
Do you want to just tell the audience what you demoed?
So what I did yesterday was a demo about Power Automate and describe it to design it, which I think is one of the features that will help us understand a bit more how to use Power Automate. And I've learned recently in Dona's in April session about a library of prompts. So I think that that's amazing because if we don't know how to prompt the Power Automate, sometimes we can have fails and we don't want to have that. So that was my session about.
Yeah, I do think though that you kind of need to fail, don't you? Like part of learning how to prompt is actually learning for yourself what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I was just speaking yesterday in the session that I know how to speak to GPT. I know how to speak with Bard, which I'm not proud of, but anyway. But now for Power Automate, it's a complete different way of speaking with. So you have to relearn how to speak with a GPT.
So when we think about Copilot and the impact that this is going to have, what do you think is going to be the biggest transformation for people?
I hope it brings us a lot of more time to do things that we actually love. So I'm hopeful that we can reduce a lot of this tasks that we do that are meaningless, not meaningless, need to be done, but you know, they don't add a lot of
boring, they're not a lot of value.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really hoping that we can spend more time in things that actually excite us, like strategy things, or maybe reduce our working hours and spend more time doing things that we love, like getting to know the world or studying a second degree or something like that.
Yeah, so that one's a really interesting one for me because this might be the thing that actually helps us move to a standard 4-day work week.
God, yes.
Which would just offer even less, which would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of announcements this week. What was the favourite thing that you've heard while we've been in Seattle?
Oh, for me, my favourite was Microsoft Copilot Studio. I heard the keynote and then I went to the booth and speak with the guy who's making all the documentation, Ian, on Microsoft Copilot Studio. And then I went to the hotel and I wrote an article just the first day. So I was too excited. So that was my favorite announcement.
Brilliant. And last question, what would you want Copilot to be able to do for you?
I'm going to be very boring with what I'm going to say, but I want all my PowerPoint presentations to be done. So this is something I'm really looking forward to have done in the next couple of months. Either PowerPoint or Word or, you know, all those documents that are not my thing. I don't like to type loads of data, so yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
Brilliant. All right, well, thank you for joining us, Anna.
Of course. Thank you very much.
That was another fantastic interview with Anna. And I get the feeling that 4-day week's a recurring theme that was being talked about. Was it quite a tiring Ignite, perhaps?
Yeah, it was a very tiring Ignite. And for me, it came on the back of a prior week moving time zones in North America. So I had a double whammy of tiredness. I love the fact that Anna said she wants it to be able to help with a PowerPoint as well. I know when we spoke to Trisha, this was something Trisha was really keen for it to be able to do. And I think that because we're all consultants, we spend so much time building slides. I think that's the biggest one that consultants are looking for. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's a recurring thing, but it's funny. The messaging we get back from others is about meetings. So it just needs to help with everything, basically.
Yeah.
Should we hear you had one more interview, I think, with Raymond Comvalius, who's a Dutch MVP in the security and modern workplace space. Should we run that as well?
Yeah, let's get into it.
I'm here at Ignite in Seattle with Raymond. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Raymond Comvalius. I'm an independent consultant and trainer from the Netherlands.
Brilliant. Well, really good to have you here today. So it's been a really busy week, lots of announcements about Copilot. What does Copilot mean to you?
It's my favorite assistant probably for the time to come.
And which Copilots have you been using?
Well, up till now, there is of course the Copilot in Bing.
Yes.
Bing Copilot or Bing Chat as it was before this week.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody was keeping track of how many product renames we've had this week. So when we think about the impact on people, what do you think is going to be the biggest transformation in how we work?
There are so many cases to be using Copilot as an assistant to make your work smoother, make it easier, to be more efficient, to help you find stuff. For instance, I was creating presentations and I needed pictures, and now you can just ask AI to create your pictures. For instance, this is just a single case of where it helped me to be more effective and find the things I was looking for much easier than before.
Yeah, and I think for people who are not graphic designers, who are not naturally visual, it can actually take a lot of time and cognitive effort to come up with something that you think is really impactful. So absolutely, being able to accelerate that time is just phenomenal. Yeah. Now, from the last few days, what has been your favourite announcement, your favourite bit of Copilot related news?
I'm looking so much forward to using Microsoft 365 Copilot to help me improve the documents that I create, to help me improve the PowerPoint presentations that I make, to help me to be more effective in responding to email messages and stuff. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm sensing a theme. You're the second person who said that PowerPoint slide creation is a really big benefit. Now, if you think about the rest of your life and the type of work that you have to do, the things that you do in both your personal and business life, if you could have Copilot do anything for you, what would it be?
The single thing?
Well, it could be a theme. You know, where do you really want Copilot to help?
Well, I already use like OpenAI ChatGPT nowadays when I write announcements, for instance. I always ask ChatGPT, help me to write this announcement, or improve the wording for my announcement, make it more attractive, make it shorter, make it longer.
Yeah, and is there anything else, like, you know, we've had like Donna's looking for Copilot to help her pack her bags when she needs to leave the country, book all of her travel. Anything else out there that you think Copilot should help you with?
I already use it when I travel, and I'm looking for stuff to do.
Yeah.
I will create me an agenda for this day. It's raining and I'm in this place. Help me to find places to do nice stuff here.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining, Raymond. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
So a lovely chat there with the different things from Raymond. Again, more PowerPoint coming through from there. And that idea of mapping out an agenda was nice.
Yeah, so I really liked that. I've used it for I used Bing Chat when that first became popular last year. I used it for recipes. And in particular, I was looking for a recipe for chorizo ketchup, and I couldn't find it on Bing or Google. So I asked ChatGPT, and it gave me 4 different recipes, and I made the one that had the ingredients for, and it was awesome. And I didn't have to get through like 4 pages of someone's life history and
Here is my life story.
Yeah, and I know they're doing it for SEO. You know, they want to be more visible in the search results. But I just want the recipe. I want the ingredients and the method. Yeah. So I feel like that's really similar in using it to get that agenda without having to go through like all the TripAdvisor adverts and you know, things that like paid advertising and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for recording those. I think some great interviews. I am hoping next week, in fact Sunday, I'm flying over to Amsterdam for ESPC. I have my roving reporter, even with the Copilot sticker there for those not on the video. And I do have some stickers I'll be able to give out. So come and find me if you want a Copilot sticker. I'm also desperate to get Jeff Teeper one of these, the Be More Jeff Copilot Connection sticker. I've finally got some larger ones that we can actually read that have arrived while we're recording this. So I sneaked out during one of the videos quickly to pick those up. So really excited to share those out. If you do want to be interviewed, come and hunt me down, and I'll have my roving reporter kit with me there as well. Have you got much Copilot stuff coming up, Zoe?
So I actually got my first acceptance for a conference next year, where I'll be talking about the human impact for Copilot. I don't know if the agenda's public yet, so I'm not going to say which conference just yet, but I'm really looking forward to having more Copilot specific sessions. One last comment on the stickers though. I did have lots of stickers that I was giving out at Ignite last week. I know we've given them out at previous events. We really want to see your stickers. If you've got them on your laptop, if you've got them in your office, take a picture, put them on social, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And just two final reminders. Don't forget about the custom Copilot challenge. Get on there, find a way to consume all that great Ignite news. You could listen to us, you could transcribe us, take that up there, make that happen. I would say don't point Copilot Studio at the Copilot Connection website, because it doesn't work, because I tried that last night, really annoyingly. On there. Also, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast app, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, all the socials. Get out there, and then you'll be the first to hear the latest that comes out.
Brilliant. Well, it's been a pleasure as always, Kevin, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks very much for listening, and look forward to talking more soon.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.